Nigeria's external domestic debt service gulps 15.22 trillion naira. EJEC stocks fall for third straight day as inflation soars to 17-year high. Banks, organized private sector seek increased forex allocation to real sector, plus stocks drift, oil slumps on recession fears. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Now let's begin by telling you that data gathered from the official website of Debt Management Office has revealed Nigeria in the past 10 years has spent a sum of 15.22 trillion naira to service its domestic and external debts. Through analysis of the DMO numbers showed that domestic debt service contributed 88.7% or 13.5 trillion naira, while external debt interest contributed 11.35% or 1.73 trillion naira out of the 15.1 trillion naira total debt services between 2012 and 2021. A further check revealed that the federal government in 10 years has consistently paid interest on its Nigerian treasury bills. Federal government bonds, Sukuk bonds, saving bonds, and Nigerian treasury bonds, while interest on multilateral Eurobond borrowings, among others, continue to increase steadily. The DMO data reveals that interest on NTBS and federal government bonds, two major instruments the government used in borrowing funds to bridge the budget deficit, amounted to 3.4 trillion naira and 9.27 trillion naira in 10 years. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management, WIFM, are building capacity to drive regional development, physical discipline. This is with a view to strengthen budgetary framework and monitoring for WIFM member countries to achieve better macroeconomic outcomes.
This course intends to provide participants with a platform for exploring and better understanding the numerous national, regional, global experiences and sound practices pertaining to the medium-term budgetary frameworks.
It will open up new opportunities for the necessary fiscal reforms and the required institutional and operational coordination to strengthen macroeconomic management and service delivery. Both are needed to put our economies on a sustainable growth trajectory.
Now to currency. Now let's see how much is the Naira exchanging for the currencies. Let's find out. Nigeria is joining the league of countries that have their seeds production and innovation protected against piracy. The initiative is to strengthen Nigeria's seed production capacity, being the largest producer and supplier in West Africa.
Our yields will increase, farmers will have more money. Also, by virtue of relationship and membership of this, we can actually gain a lot in terms of comparing and getting information from other countries.
Protecting our new variety can open the door for more investment in the seed industry. That's why we are here to support the national team in the organization of that event.
Shown examples of countries that are, moving significantly with agri production and ensuring food security because of introduction of PVP. Some in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, going to 10 years. You can see the trend.
Nigeria's headline inflation for July 2022 increased to 19.64% on a year-on-year basis, indicating 2.27% rise year-on-year compared to the rate recorded in July 2021, which was 17.38%. Data released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that on a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate was higher than the rate recorded in June 2022 by 1.8%. The NBS report shows that the increase in inflation was caused by an increase in food index attributed to the disruption in the supply of food products, an increase in the cost of transportation arising from the higher cost of energy, an increase in import costs due to currency depreciation, as well as a general increase in the cost of production. The rise in the food index was caused by increases in prices of bread and cereals, potatoes, yam, and other tubers, meat, fish, oil, and fat. Looking at the urban and rural distribution of the consumer price index, the index for urban inflation rate on a year-on-year basis was 20.09% in July 2022. This was higher compared to 18.01% reported in July 2021. On a month-on-month basis, the urban inflation rate was 1.82% in July 2022, a decrease compared to June 2022 with 1.82%. Nigeria's annual inflation rises to a high level in 17 years, and this latest figure is said to have been fueled by rises for food, fuel, and clothing. Relating the inflation figures vis-a-vis around new harvest and effect of agricultural produce is an agricultural economist from the Federal University of Technology, Minna, Professor Abigail Jogi. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe you must have seen the latest inflation figures, and it says food prices were up 22.02% year on year in July, and caused by prices in bread, cereals, potatoes, yam, meat, fish, oil, and other items. What do you make of the latest inflation figures?
Yeah, the inflation figures are really a thing of concern. Of course, you know that generally policymakers and individuals are very much concerned about inflation figures, and this is because when you have high inflation, it means that people's disposable income is being reduced, because their ability to purchase these goods will also decrease. And now, of course, invariably, it will be pushing people or dragging people into poverty, as it were. So, and of course, we know that there is a relationship between the price inflation and key factors of demand and supply of goods and services. We're talking about some key macroeconomic variables. We are also looking at key micro economic variables, such as the prices, the demand, the consumption, the quantity produced, the wages of people, individuals, and the cost of inputs, and of course investment.
Okay. But when you look at it, like potatoes recently, I think I bought potatoes recently around 1,800 compared to when that's the new harvest. We're expecting the new harvest to have impact on the prices of goods. I mean, food particularly.
Yes. Now, considering the fact that the prices of items are basically determined by the forces of demand and supply, and because of the inflation, the prices doesn't seem to be as low as we expected, isn't it?
But it should be because of harvest, I thought.
Yeah.
Or is it because we right now we are just starting to see a harvest of certain goods, and yet to see harvest of other goods maybe expected much later in the year?
Yeah. You know, this is the beginning of harvest, and you have seen some granules on the street, some maize on the street, which are eaten fresh, and we expect more harvest over time. Let's say in the next few months, let's say September. Of course, we are hoping that the prices will likely reduce, because there will be more produce in the market.
Okay, now let's look at wheat. Wheat has been one of, how do I even put it, one of this produce that is majorly affected by this Russia invasion of Ukraine. And why are we not having enough wheat, by the way? Because we have I think we have the land for it. We have the like the river basin areas where we can actually produce these things. Why we are not having enough? And we've there's the Uncle Boros scheme by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and I think they've been able to invest heavily in wheat. So what do we actually need to do to really turn around the fortunes in wheat production?
Yes, good question. Now, you know, over the years, there has been policies geared towards increasing food production generally, and then with emphasis to particular crops, especially those crops that we import, like wheat and rice, you know. And it is worthy to mention that because of the emphasis the government has placed on rice production, and then the policies that were put in place in order to increase domestic production of rice, we are seeing some results. We are seeing some results. So in the same vein, I want to believe that if there is that political will, and farmers are being supported to produce wheat in large quantities, just like there was this drastic change in the production of rice, I want to believe that we will also be able to produce wheat in large production, in large quantities, such that we will not have to be importing wheat from
We've seen
outside
investment by government. Should we see more from the private sector?
Yeah, if we would the private sectors, the private investors to come in, of course, we will see changes, we will see improvement in the production of wheat.
But why is always the focus on the primary production? What about value addition?
Yes, value addition is something that people are just, getting aware of in recent years. So I want to believe that with time, the value chain.
Do we have the time? Because if you look at it, with Russia-Ukraine crisis exacerbating the situation of COVID-19, and we are seeing soaring food prices, do we have the time? Because we don't. I mean, if you look at it.
Yes, what I'm saying is that there should be a political will. Okay. There should be a push, and the farmers need to be sensitized on the benefits of, cultivating some of these crops. And then, there's the implementation of all the Anko Borrower scheme, implementation of the river basin developments that were revived recently, some of those dams and irrigation schemes that were abandoned in Niger State, in Kano State, and so many other states should be revived as a matter of urgency, so that we will stop depending on importation of wheat from other countries.
And marketing board, what about the market? What do you think of? Or should we?
I want to talk not from my own perspective,
but in your own perspective. Just tell me, what do you feel about marketing board? Is this something that we need to reintroduce so that we can at least address the issue of maybe farmers farming particular farm produce and looking for, they won't have any problem looking for a particular market for it? Because there's issue of also middlemen.
Yes, there is the issue of middlemen in marketing. However, I want to say this, that in recent times, there are various private organizations that are into, forming aggregation centers. They have aggregation centers in different locations, in communities where you have, a hub of particular commodities, and so they buy and they try to take care of the storage, the handling of the post-harvest losses, and so on. And I want to believe that if we give adequate attention to such private organizations to handle that, it will be better than coming up with the marketing boards, because what I'm afraid of is the corruption.
Okay.
Of course, in the past, corruption is one of the reasons why the marketing boards were abolished.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, there's this issue of people coming from neighboring states buying our farm produce. Then later now, they will now repackage it and ship it outside. What do we do to address this issue? Because actually it's affecting the cost of our own farm produce here. Yeah. It becomes expensive because of the supply is not meeting the demand and things like that. So what do we need to do to address this?
Well, I think as a matter of it's all about policy. Okay. There should be policies in place. If you go to markets around Sokoto, Kebbi, you see trailer loads of food produce, and then you see them traveling, and of course they find their ways out of the Nigerian border.
Okay.
Can we have a control system such that those trailer loads can be stopped and then sent back to the country? At the border, there should be measures just like the customs used to arrest drug pushers and other contraband products. So there should be such regulations that no trailer load of food produce should be exported outside the borders of the nation. And if that is done, I think we'll have good prices at home and people will be able to utilize their income effectively.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Abigail Jogi.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming to share your thoughts.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Moving on, major global cocoa merchants have agreed to pay premium cocoa from Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Musa Baba Aliu reports that Nigeria is taking steps to benefit from the business with a proposal to bring back cocoa on board.
Reports indicated that major cocoa buyers have agreed to pay a premium and back a price floor on cocoa sold by Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana as part of an agreement reached on Friday to combat poverty among farmers. Cocoa industry players will back a fixed living income differential of $400 a ton on all cocoa contractors sold by Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, the two top global cocoa producers. Buyers will also pay a country premium that will enable cocoa regulators in both countries to reach a target floor price of $2,600 per ton, which should allow farmers to earn minimum of 70% of the target floor price. And here in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture inaugurated a National Cocoa Management Committee to develop strategies and framework aimed at revamping the cocoa industry in Nigeria. The committee, among others roles, is expected to come up with an urgent draft charter for the operations of NCMC to the National Assembly for legal backing in order to meet demand of joining the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire initiative to deliver living income differential of $400 per ton.
A. The NCMC shall develop a framework for the regulation and monitoring of the activities of cocoa sector to make the industry more transparent. B. The NCMC shall develop a strategic plan towards the establishment of a Nigerian cocoa board.
Next is our Surviving COVID-19 series has put together by Olainka Ojo.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I dropped out from school when I decided to learn work to take care of my family. I learned this work for 8 years, served my Oga 1 year extra, which is 9 years. I go do job man 1 year, which is 10 good years. So I'm 27 years in the as well as my engine, or the brake, caliper or whatever in the vehicle. That was specialized, especially engine. I'm benefiting from it. So at least I've trained many boys through this job, and I've settled many boys through this job. So I don't have any regrets on learning this job. It's only those machineries that's my challenges. Because right now there are new model cars that need machine to work on it. So if I get that money, I will buy some machines that I'll be using to do all this work. It will be okay by me.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
And now to stocks as the NGX capital market opened for business this morning. It was a negative start at Nigeria's equities market on Monday as it further dipped to close at 49,657.33 basis points. At the close of trading for the day, investors in 4,122 deals exchanged 210.8 million shares valued at 2.1 billion naira. Market capitalization at the end of the day was 26.7 trillion naira. E-Transact, FBN Holding, and UBA were the top three traded stocks. Asian markets struggled for direction on Tuesday, weighed by worries over global growth following weak China data that knock oil prices and commodity-linked currencies. Details with Bosode Abel.
Asia Pacific stocks were mixed this Tuesday as strong rallies from Chinese real estate companies and Australian miners were offset by muted Japanese and Hong Kong markets. Japan's Nikkei 225 finished flat at 28,868.91. The Shanghai Composite gained about 0.06%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was down 1.34%. European markets were cautiously higher, having struggled to build on positive momentum seen at the end of last week. German DAX climbed 0.23%, with London's FTSE gaining 0.35%, and the French CAC added 0.17%. Elsewhere, US stock futures were slightly down Tuesday morning after all three major averages gained during the daily trading session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 0.1%, S&P 500 lost 0.23%, and the Nasdaq 100 declined 0.28%, while African markets are yet to post numbers this morning.
Thank you, Neka. This is where we end this episode of the program. Business Express will return tomorrow at 3 p.m. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube. I am Musa Abubakar.